Here's what happened this week in North Carolina politics. The legislature is still on break this week. They're all cooling their heels at the beach. I hope they're using sunscreen. Attorney General Jeff Jackson is not only on the job this week, he is suing the Trump administration again on behalf of the state of North Carolina. This time it's over the administration's decision to block $165 million in education funding that was meant for North Carolina. The Trump administration actually blocked $6.8 billion of federal education funding nationwide, and $165 million is just North Carolina's share of that. It represents about 10% of federal funding for North Carolina schools. It typically pays for stuff like teacher training, after-school and summer enrichment programs, and literacy programs for kids, all targeting low-performing schools. Now, as usual, Congress approved this money, so the president does not actually have the constitutional authority to block it, and federal courts have upheld that this year, so Jackson is likely to win this thing. The Assembly published a bombshell revealing how John Bell, a powerful Republican from Wayne County, has apparently used his position in the state house to promote legislation favoring the hemp company where he is president and to penalize competitors, which is a massive conflict of interest.
I have an advantage because I happen to be in the room when all these decisions are made, which is not a bad place to be, by the way.
Yeah, I bet. Bell is also a key negotiator from the House Republicans who are currently fighting with the Senate Republicans over our state budget, which means the future of our state budget and things like teacher salaries might get determined by John Bell's hemp business. Republicans in the U.S. Senate voted to make massive cuts to public broadcasting this week, which is going to have big impacts on public radio stations all over the state. Federal funding accounts for around 10% of the operating budget for most public radio stations around North Carolina, which operate pretty thin as it is, so they'll probably have to lay people off and probably cut coverage. Speaking of federal funding cuts to FEMA are now hitting home in towns across North Carolina who are now calculating the damage from Tropical Storm Chantal. Like Hillsborough, they had received a $6 million federal grant from FEMA to relocate a major city water pump out of a floodplain. Or Mount Pleasant, you guys got a $4 million grant from FEMA to build an improved stormwater drainage system. Salisbury, $22 million federal grant to build a new water pump station. There are 70 more of these things, and they'd all be really nice to have before your town gets hit by a massive tropical storm. All of this was funded by the Biden administration's infrastructure law and approved by FEMA. Shovels are in the ground in a lot of cases. But back in April, the Trump administration eliminated those grants and 2,000 more around the nation. And now, post-Chantal, these towns are struggling to figure out what they're going to do next, and local taxpayers are probably going to get hosed. In response, Attorney General Jeff Jackson joined a second lawsuit against the Trump administration just this week, seeking to unblock those grants. The man keeps busy, you gotta give him that. Look, I know this one was kind of a downer, but look, it's watermelon milkshake season. Go ahead and grab you a corn dog and some Cajun fries, go hit a pool, have a great weekend.